Today's podcast is brought to you by itpro.tv. You can go to itpro.tv/ring for a free complimentary offer. Somebody made a really good point.
Yep.
I forget. I apologize because I forget their username. They said, hey, when you got your big fat head out of the way, works better.
Right.
Why don't you do that with the First Ring Daily?
Yes. I think I might remember who that was, or I could look it up. Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was funny. That was
That would have been great advice about 1,000 episodes ago. Just rounding.
Yeah, that was right. That was your response. Yeah, exactly. It's a good point, though.
It is a great point because then look, you can see it.
How can I find this?
One day we'll figure out how to do
podcasts.
Podcast.
Why there's some? Oh, this is the wrong thing.
Paul
Will.
Web browser.
The username is Will.
Actually, my shirt.
Are you gonna? We're gonna wait like 700 more episodes and then move that thing over? Is that what you're gonna do?
Probably.
You know what you do is just do one with the logo, and have that over there, like, and then maybe the text small underneath. So it looks similar to the promo video, the promo image.
Or maybe I could just have a really large, like one of these.
Could you scrunch down a little bit?
This is the Lollipop Guild. Is that actually my shirt's like the same color as the background? Why do people log in and tune into this?
They're lonely. I'm so sorry.
So big news yesterday, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I literally wrote a post. I'm not even going to say what the news is. I literally wrote a post because I knew the question would come up. What's the difference between Windows 11 and Windows 365? I will fully admit I did that because I know that search query is going to become popular on Google.
I got an email from someone. I'm not going to name him because I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. Mm-hmm. Really smart guy, industry based. We know him personally, and he's like, "Well, good thing." Blah blah blah. Whatever. He's like, they already changed the name, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, he thought it was a new name for Windows 11.
No, it's Microsoft. This is. So Microsoft announced Windows 365 yesterday for people who haven't been staring at Twitter all day. But here's the brilliance of it. This is so typical Microsoft. 3 weeks ago, whatever, they announced Windows 11. Then they announced Windows 365. At a high level, it's confusing as hell. Now, when you get like really down deep in the weeds, it makes sense. But in typical Microsoft fashion, they should have maybe spaced this out or talked or communicated a little bit better. But
here's an idea.
Yeah.
I always complain about Microsoft inconsistencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Windows 365 is fine. It kind of works within the whole Microsoft/Office 365 world. That's cool. Why isn't Xbox Cloud Gaming called Xbox 365?
So I've wondered this too. I think.
Right.
Well, I think honestly, I bet it would be.
Except for the 360.
Except for the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That screwed it up.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I agree with you. Like cloud,
it's such a short, memorable name.
Yeah, Cloud Gaming Ultimate is
No, it's.
Why did I do that?
It's worse than that because it's like I can't even say it. Xbox Cloud Gaming, I think, is the official name of what used to be called xCloud, right?
Yeah.
Which is a feature of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate only.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lot of stuff to say. It makes for a tough elevator pitch. By the time you've explained the brands, the door is already open and they're gone.
Yeah.
Xbox 360, I think, would have done it, and I still think they should do it.
I'm not saying they should.
365. Sorry. See,
yeah.
I just disproved my point.
The one thing the one argument that I could maybe see and be like, maybe, is that 365 branding is pretty business tied. Like Office 365, Microsoft 365, Windows 365. Like those are all sort of corporate-y things. And maybe...
Well, okay. So before this Windows change, the Cloud PC change, I had seen a headline, and I don't think I really read the article. There's no point in reading it. But the point was basically that Microsoft is probably still going to get rid of Xbox Live Gold, right? Mm-hmm. This was something we thought they were going to do this past year, and in lieu of Game Pass. And actually, the headline said, when Game Pass becomes more popular, right? I was thinking to myself at that time that maybe then it just becomes Xbox, But we talk about this all the time with different brands. Like we talk about why isn't Windows 10 and now Windows 11 just called Windows? We always have this kind of conversation. And I don't think from a, I'm not a marketer. I'm just more of a enthusiast or whatever. But there must be good reasons why these things have to have very specific brands, and
So
you don't
here's
want
a
to
guess.
confuse consumers. Yeah.
Here's a guess. Here's my guess, my hypothesis. Now that I was listening to you speak, so Microsoft has a bunch of tiers of this stuff, right? They have Xbox Live Gold, they have Game Pass, they have Game Pass PC, they also have Game Pass Ultimate. I suspect that at some point there's going to be just one tier and one tier only, and it's going to be called Game Pass, and it's going to be $15 a month, and that's it.
You know what they should do is the Office 365 thing. They could have Xbox Game Pass E3, Xbox Game Pass.
No, you stop. For your first line workers or your console gaming, that's a kiosk gaming.
Is this the one that gives me AAD pass through? No, I gotta have E5. Okay, seriously.
But that's effectively what it is today, though. They're just not called. I mean, Xbox Live would be E3. Game Pass.
You got to understand, Microsoft's addicted to tiers. This goes all the way back to the early days of Office when they could have like a standard and a pro or whatever.
I thought you were talking about tears coming out of my eyes because that's.
Oh, that's what it causes if you're a user or an IT administrator. But it's for all the confusion that we complain about, from Microsoft's perspective, this is just money in the bank. This has always worked out financially. It's Vista exploded with SKUs. 7, I think, might have tried to scale it back. 8, they just keep doing it. They just can't say no to it. So
they do have a SKU problem.
Anyway, we never really talked about the actual subject, which is so us. What happened yesterday, Brad?
Well, the thing that did happen yesterday, Paul, is that IT Pro TV has a skills development platform. I see what I did there. But itpro.tv is sponsoring today's podcast, and they have a skills development platform. You can go to itpro.tv/ring, where you can get access up to 5,800 plus hours of learning content. You can learn to upskill yourself in content that feels more like a conversation and less like a classroom. That is itpro.tv. Go to itpro.tv/ring, and we are going to talk about Windows 365. So the TLDR, for people who are curious what this thing is, it's Windows in the cloud. It's a PC that runs on Azure. It's basically you can run Windows in a browser. That is it, and only business and enterprise customers can use it as of right now.
Right, and it's technically nearly identical to an existing product called Azure Virtual Desktop.
Right. Yep.
The big difference being just the way that you pay for it. So Azure Virtual Desktop is a consumption-based model. So the more you use it, you pay. And obviously, well, not obviously, but Cloud PC, or what they're now calling Windows 365, is a flat fee per user per month. We don't know what that fee is. I'll just prep everybody for this.
We might know roughly what it is. There was
let me before you say this, let me just give you my guess, because what's going to happen is there are different tiers, by the way, because again, Microsoft addicted to tiers, which is a terrible tagline and thus perfect for Microsoft. This is going to be more expensive than people are going to want. Like, I think people are going to look at this and think, okay, when they bring this to consumers, which everyone assumes they're doing, which we'll see, but I would never pay that much money for any service. Like, I think it's going to be that expensive. So I'm thinking the base one's going to be like $20 a month per user per month. That's my guess. $19.99. I think it goes up from there.
So we don't know.
I know, but you seem to have some indication.
There was some indication. So there was an Inspire session that briefly showed a screen that showed some configuration and the price
for
the lowest tier.
Mm-hmm.
Lowest tier was, I think, $31.
Okay, so yeah,
but there's so many asterisks. Because if you're an enterprise customer, you're not going to be paying that. You might be paying $19.99. I actually think that Microsoft is going to start by giving some of this away. Like, hey, you've got 1,000 E5 licenses of whatever. It's like, you know what? We're going to give you 25 cloud desktops. Just go play with them and see how it plays out for a while. And
Yeah, I was going to use that same argument for my 1999 price, which apparently was woefully inadequate. But yes, I mean that's remember the first customers of the service will be Microsoft's biggest customers, and those guys get volume discounts, and that sticker price you see is not the price that they're going to pay. Still, I'm curious, and maybe I asked Mary Jo this question yesterday, and she indicated yes, but for me, for this thing to make the most sense, you can't just get a window with a desktop in it, right? Like, especially if you're running Windows, you should be able to remotely run an application and have it just appear, and maybe even put it in your start, pin it and have it fire up every time or whatever. Do you know that that's how this works?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. At least not yet.
Well, the reason I think this is if you go to the post, by the way, there were 5 posts, but if you go to the main post, the top image, the one I used on my my story, and again, these are not screenshots, and it makes me crazy. Microsoft does this all the time. They always have these glass animation things, like it's a stylized version of a screenshot. It's not real, and it's like, guys, could you just show the damn thing? But there are 2 windows. One shows an entire desktop, and one shows a single application. And I thought to myself, Microsoft has had this capability to stream an application. This would, I think this would put it over the top.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have another theory. This is me doing what I do best, shooting from the hip, blindly, and out into the wild. So, if you remember, Paul, Microsoft won a contract with the government called JEDI. You might have heard of it. It was a small thing. If you've noticed, in untypical Microsoft fashion, this product was announced on the 14th and will be generally available on August 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that this feature may have been part of that JEDI contract, because this would be a perfect type of tool for super secret sensitive data that never travels down. It's always in the cloud. It's always secure. And so now that Microsoft isn't going to win that contract, they've got all this capacity and functionality built out to effectively go to market with it. They're like, hey, let's, here we go.
That could be. I like it. The other thing to think about here is Windows 10X. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's dead, but Windows 10X, essentially a thin client that cannot Win32 apps.
Oh, yeah.
This would have been the last mile problem.
Yeah, and that was rumored for a while that you'd be able to stream down Win32.
Yep.
It's all coming together throughout.
Well, yeah, what's all coming together is a bunch of stuff that never happened. Windows 10X and JEDI. So now we're getting the collateral damage of Win30 or Windows 365. So, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to try it. I'm interested. I can tell you I'm not paying $30 a month for this thing, but
no, it's not
nice if it was just part of your Microsoft 365 subscription, some amount of time you could spend using it or something like. No. Okay.
Who knows? Maybe we'll see. We will see. Anyway, so that's coming. That was sort of the big stuff. They also slashed some pricing on their commercial marketplace stuff from 20% down to 3%, which is a pretty big deal in the enterprise space. So if you're a third party, because this was from Inspire, if you're an MSP or VAR, I should say, and you're selling on the digital marketplaces of the world, Microsoft just made it a hell of a lot more lucrative to use theirs instead of another platform. So
it's kind of interesting. People often have come back when I write about the antitrust stuff, and they say none of this is going to matter, nothing's going to happen. But you look over the last year, and the top online store stories are all about how the fees are being reduced dramatically everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, the Microsoft stuff today, Microsoft previously with Microsoft Store on Windows, not on Xbox, although that's still rumored and that was going to originally happen. Obviously, and then the Apple and the Google App Stores as well being the big ones. This is, threats work.
They do. I mean, yeah, I was
podcast every day. It's basically a lost bet on my part.
Gift that keeps on giving, but something that come on, Windows 11, you're better than that. Alt tab.
Is it better?
To the window. There we go. But the gift, as I was trying to say, that keeps on giving is going to itpro.tv/ring. You can find links in the description, and we'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, because tomorrow's Friday.
Woohoo.
Does that make 10X a Sith Lord?